Greetings, scholars, and today we're going to talk about how to write a good summary. This is an art form. You can practice it all the time. Go watch a movie and then challenge yourself to tell someone in the shortest possible space what the gist of the plot was. I am a born paraphraser. When I was young, it would take me 3 hours to tell you what happened in a 2-hour movie. Summarizing is not a natural skill for me because it's tough for me to trim details when I think that they're important. Archaeology was a perfect field for me to find because it's the opposite of summarizing. We find one tiny object and it's a 50-page interpretation to unpack all of that information that we can get out of it. I unsummarize history, but just like you, I had to learn how to summarize. These 5 aspects are what make up a good summary, called the Cabin criteria, and I'll probably be referring to it as such for the rest of the term, and hopefully you will in your head for the rest of your life. All right, so the C in Cabin, complete. You've got to get those key ideas down to as few words as possible. Your notes may be so brief that a bystander wouldn't know if it's a grocery list or a secret codex. That's fine. No one needs to understand your personal notes. Accurate. Compare your jotted notes to the passage. Make sure that you get the concepts. Brief. Here's where we get into that game of how short can I make this while still completely representing it and having it make sense to others. This is the goal. This is the entire goal. Independent. Your summary needs to stand alone. So the person reading the summary understands what happened, the whole thing complete. It's an accurate representation. They don't have to have also read that primary source that you're summarizing to understand it. DVD slipcovers are not good summaries. They are teasers, right? You need to make sure you spoil the ending. That idea is part of being complete. That's also part of being independent. It needs to have enough information that I haven't seen the original, but now I know what happened and how it ends. And finally, neutral. So you need to present it exactly as it is. And then after your summary is when you can get into your analysis, your critique, and your opinions on the piece. So this is their space. Whatever your original author that you're summarizing, you keep it complete, accurate for how you're representing their thoughts. It is as brief as possible, which is what makes it a summary, not a paraphrase. And it is independent, as in complete enough that if someone hasn't read the source material, they still understand it. And that neutral space is, this is still the strict presentation of someone else's ideas, not your own. When your summary is over, then you get your space back in your paper to be talking about what you think about that. It is very important that when you add sources to your writing, that there is a distinct line between your work, which is most of the paper, and then you invite a source in that is their space where you are representing what they said. If it's a summary, it matches all of this Cabin criteria. And then once your summary is over, there is a distinct line where we're back into your space again and your thoughts and your ideas and your word and your voice. So summaries are islands. It's a cabin on an island. On top of Cabin criteria, to just sort of elevate this art form, you need to also consider the tone and the pace. Balancing the generalization of the main ideas and also important key details is tough because you need to keep it brief, but it also needs to be independently complete. The key word is balance. Pace is also something you need to think about. If a large portion of the text is dedicated to one particular aspect, you should sort of match that pace of how much time that author spent on that. Means that you can elaborate a little bit more than on something that they spent less time on. So try to keep the pace steady and uniform to match the pace of the original material, as close as you can within reason. Tone. Think about how your tone can match, coordinate, or at least recognize the tone of the literature. That kind of understanding of either matching, mimicking, or at least acknowledging the tone of the original piece. Spoilers. This is the biggest, most difficult part for beginning summary specialists to get, that you need to spoil the ending. For it to be a complete summary and an independent summary, I need to know how it ends. You need to cover everything in that sort of equal pace, including the end. You're going to get some practice on summary. And as you bring in your sources and you've got your options of quoting, summarizing, or paraphrasing the bits that you need to be building and developing this skill, keeping the Capron criteria in mind.